I think all of us, growing in different directions, like some people do in marriages. You know, they get married young and then they change. People aren't the same anymore, you know.
What if the greatest love story didn't end with a happily ever after, but with a woman choosing herself? Well, keep watching, because this isn't just any story. This is about Diana Ross. She's 80, legendary, and still living life on her own terms. No husband, no regrets. But why? Why didn't she ever marry again? Stay right here, because what you're about to hear will change the way you think about love, success, and power. The love that changed everything. It was said that she was the queen of Motown. She sold more than 100 million records and made people cry, laugh, and fall in love. In her personal life in the mid-1980s, Diana Ross didn't find a #1 song or a sold-out show. Instead, she found something even more unusual. It was love. Love that is real, quiet, and stable. It came in the form of Arnie Naess Jr. He wasn't well known. He wasn't trying to run her business. He wasn't after the attention. Arnie was a Norwegian businessman who was calm and sure of himself. He was very different from the men who came before him. Diana did more than just change her last name when she got married in 1985. She started a whole new life. She got married again, and she began taking care of Arne's kids and having 2 sons with him. It wasn't about the stage this time. It had to do with family, about waking up to something that was real, even without praise. This part of her life wasn't planned to be on TV. There were no red carpet headlines that tried to change the tale. In 2004, Arnie died in a terrible accident while mountain climbing. He wasn't there one day and was there the next. Diana had been hurt by haters, tabloids, and setbacks in her work before, but this pain was different. There was no way she could get through it. With a comeback record, it didn't go away. When Arnie died, there was a void in her life that not even a loud crowd could fill. She didn't talk about it a lot, but when she did, what she said hurt a lot. Many people already knew what she said in an interview in 2011. Arnie was the love of her life, that one. Since then, no one has come close. She didn't get married again after she lost him. It's not that she couldn't, not because she didn't have any other choices, but because looking for a new love after having the kind that makes you feel whole again is like trying to live out a dream that has already ended. Diana didn't look for a different copy of what she already had. She didn't go on dates. She didn't give in to the media's interest. She just took a step back, in peace, with grace. The choice itself said more than any news release could. There wasn't any anger. Fear wasn't it. The fact that she knew what she had with Arne was enough to last a lifetime. Most people who are 80 years old and single use words like lonely or alone to describe their situation. Her life, on the other hand, tells a different tale. Her story is about knowing when something is finished and not trying to fix it just to make it look better. And that's strong, especially in a world where everyone feels like they have to keep trying, meeting, and showing that they're still wanted or in the game. Diana Ross was already ahead. After Arnie left, she finished that chapter with style, not sadness. No, not emptiness. It was a quiet strength. Some people thought she would get married again. She was Diana Ross after all, beautiful, known, beloved, but she didn't. And being quiet wasn't a sign of weakness. It was clear. Her children, grandkids, and music were the things that she put all of her energy into. But love, the kind she shared with Arne, stayed locked in her memory. That could have been the point. She didn't need to find someone new to feel loved. She had already known love at its deepest. The world moved on. So did the music industry. But Diana Ross stayed steady. No drama, no scandals, just peace. And maybe, just maybe, that peace was the reward for everything she had given over the years. It's easy to assume that someone alone must be incomplete. But what if the opposite is true? What if real strength is knowing when your heart is full and not opening it just because the world says you should? Diana Ross didn't give up on love. She experienced it, cherished it, and when it was gone, she let it be, because not every ending needs to be followed by a new beginning. What came next wasn't about romance. It was about rediscovery, about learning who you are when no one's standing beside you, and realizing that solitude can be powerful, peaceful, and even joyful. And what did Diana Ross do with that solitude, that choice, that next chapter? Choosing peace over partnership. She could have gone back to the public eye with a new face on her arm after losing the man she called the love of her life. You could have had her stand for pictures, add to the story, or act like everything was okay. She didn't, though. She went in a different direction, one that most famous people stay away from. She left. It wasn't the first time she had to start over. Diana had already been through public divorces, private pain, and the stress of always being known as Diana Ross. Her smile on stage, covered in glitter, and her face drenched in cheers, were seen by everyone. Things weren't always so bright off stage, though. Robert Ellis Silberstein, a music executive, was her first husband. Their marriage ended quietly but sadly. Her second marriage to Arnie Nias Jr. ended in hurt and grief. After that came 2002, the year she was arrested for driving while drunk. A famous singer's picture was all over the news. That one moment was very hard for someone who had spent decades building her image, but it wasn't clear what she would do next. She didn't fix things right away in public. She didn't make her pain happen. She took a step back. She stopped talking. Something changed in that silence. Diana Ross started to see being alone as a strength, not a punishment. This was new for someone who had spent her whole life with people, producers, dancers, friends, and family. She didn't fight it, though. She put her weight on it. She slowly made a place for herself that wasn't noisy but peaceful, not a mess. There should be no cameras, just space to breathe. She didn't have to act for the first time in a long time. A lot of people avoid being alone because they think they will be forgotten, but Diana didn't act that way. She showed that being alone was strong, like having freedom, because being alone can be beautiful if you choose to be. It turns into power. It becomes clear. And it helped her get better. Relationships were no longer rushed. No more making up fairy stories. She was sick of going through cycles that made her feel tired. She was no longer scared of being alone. She became smarter because of it, more powerful. Sometimes these steps have felt painful, but they led me to greater happiness, is the best thing she ever said. There wasn't a soundbite there. That was the truth. While the news outlets were ready for Diana to make a comeback through love or scandal, she kept quiet. She didn't have to show anything, not to the business world, not to the fans, not even to herself. She had been through the good times. She had felt the hits. Now she picked something else. Peace. Peace like this doesn't stand out. It's not something you can wear. You can't write about it. You can feel it, though. You could tell the change in her songs. She stopped running after the crowd. She was going at her own pace and in her own way. Her reason for singing this time was for fun. She didn't have to do it. It was a woman who had already done everything who was calm. The fame, the style, and the fans. It was all still there, but none of it had any more power over her. She didn't need a new partner to feel good about herself. To feel whole, she didn't need a new husband. She was now her own source of comfort. Also, let's not act like being alone is always simple. It's not. It forces you to be alone with your story, without anything else to do. Diana, on the other hand, did it with purpose, just like she did her best acts. Her survival wasn't just being by herself. She made it holy. She raised her kids and watched her grandchildren grow up in that room. She could go back to the stage whenever she wanted, not just when everyone else thought she should. And she kept her pride the whole time. Not a story. Don't use desperate titles. Only love. She chose herself in a world that tells women they are only important when they are picked. That answer wasn't very loud. It wasn't just for show, but it echoed. To be honest, love isn't always about being with someone. When you've lost a lot, the best love is the one you give yourself. Diana Ross, the star, the mother, and the woman, gave that gift to herself. She didn't run away in loss. There was no longer any need for her to be everything to everyone. It was finally enough for her to just be herself. When you stop looking for love and start being the reason other people believe in it, what happens? Why did Diana do what she did next? The answer lies in her work, her children, and her name, which is still used today. Let's talk about how her success became her best friend and how she never needed a husband to be happy. Why career fulfilled? What marriage couldn't. Diana Ross didn't just want to be great, she became it. While other people looked for love to make their lives perfect, she was making a name for herself that would last forever. She has won Grammys, set Billboard charts records, been given the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Not someone else's. She never needed a partner to get those doors open. She went through them by herself. Everyone thought she would get married again at some point and find someone to stand by her in the press. Diana had already thought of something, though. The cheers weren't for the guy she dated. The honor wasn't tied to a ring. She wasn't defined by love. She was marked by what she did. For over 60 years, she has given her all to her work, her family, and her mission. She led, not just showed up. Some places didn't let Black women talk loudly, but she made room for herself and turned that space into a kingdom. This person played every song, show, and move with such speed that most people couldn't keep up. That level of focus pushed her forward. It also turned people away. Being too perfect can make you famous, but it can also hurt your relationships. Diana was hard to get along with because she expected every person around her to be the best. She was sure of what she wanted. She knew what she needed done, and she wasn't going to give in just to keep the relationship going. That's not being selfish. That is focusing. She had her skill to fall back on, even when she lost someone close to her or looked bad in public. When other people looked to a partner for approval, she focused on what she loved. She did more than just sing. She changed the world. She showed Black women in the world's biggest stages how to be strong, attractive, and not afraid to be themselves. Since you've already been #1 so many times, do you really need someone else to tell you that you're important? Diana Ross got to a point where she was happy, not because she had to, but because she decided to do what she loved. It's just something I want to do. That's what she said about acting once, but it might work for anything. She stopped following her dreams to stay alive. She lived them because she could. It's not often that you can be that free. She deserved every bit of it. Diana became whole on her own while other people looked for their lost half. She took care of 5 kids. She helped artists. She influenced many people. Again and again, she took the stage by herself, with no partner by her side. There were decades of great performances behind her, and people were ready to listen. A love story can make some people happy. Diana Ross made a mark and found hers in the past. Every woman who saw her thought she could do it too. She was happy being single and didn't need to get married again. She already had a lot of goals in her life. The attention doesn't mean the end of the story, though. Because there is something even stronger behind all the praise and awards, she did more than just make a name for herself. She made a family. Everyone else sees her as a hero, but her family and friends just call her mom. What does it mean when the woman everyone calls a diva says her best performance was in her own living room, not on stage? That truth will be shown in the next part. The real Diana, a celebrity, an icon, and even a diva have been used to describe her. Diana Ross won't say what she's most proud of, though. She won't say a song or an award. She'll show you her kids. She was building something quieter while everyone was after her fame. Something stronger. A group of people, 5 kids, 8 kids, and memories from decades ago that most people never saw. That was Diana's real win. Not only did she leave a mark on singing, but she also became a mother. In every school performance, every time she decided to be present instead of perfect, and every time she scraped her knee. She once said her family was the most important thing in her life. It's clear. Her house stayed the same, no matter how loud the outside world got. It wasn't built on news stories. It was love that made it happen. Not the kind that stays when the lights go down, but the kind that is strong. It's easy to see how it has changed things. One of Hollywood's biggest stars, Tracee Ellis Ross, is living proof of that heritage. Feeling sure, strong, by choice, not married, happy with her own life. Like her mom. Tracee once said, "Being my mom is more important than being her Diana Ross." Take a look at that. In a world where fame is everything, her daughter decided to honor the mom who showed up, the woman behind the spotlight, who stayed on the ground, who taught her that she didn't need a partner to be happy. All of Diana's children grew up with the same way of thinking. They didn't grow up wanting to be famous. Being around someone who was good at it taught them that connection, not recognition, was what life was all about. Diana didn't have a stage at her house. It was a safe place, a spot where she didn't need to smile for pictures or wear glitter. She might be mom. That's something that people might miss when they say she's single. They forget that she wasn't by herself. The The people who mattered most were around her. Holidays, birthdays, and quiet times. That's where her power went. There was no time for looking for love. She had to protect what she had already made. She had already spoken out. She kept her heart for her family. Everyone in the world watched. Some people were lost. How could someone so well known just back off? She wants another husband, so why wouldn't she? But there's the catch. Diana Ross didn't need to say anything. Her life told the story. She didn't look for love because the one that mattered to her was already inside her. The love of a mom, what a mother left behind. The strength of a woman who decided to be stable over being seen. She made great leaders. She made people want to be free. She taught her children that being whole doesn't come from other people, but from inside. The truth she lived by made them believe it too. That's why Diana Ross didn't run away from love out of fear. She walked toward a better place. A family that didn't ask her to do anything. A life that wasn't based on being wanted. A house that seemed more real than any love song could ever be. She didn't need a story. She had her own group. And it didn't bother her if people called her strange or hard to understand. She never asked to be limited by someone else's timetable. She made up her own, but she never stopped shining, even when she turned away from love. Because what she made in her house gave her more meaning than any relationship ever could. Why she'll never marry again. Everyone thought she would get married again. She was Diana Ross after all, glamorous, rich, and loved by millions. She didn't, though. She wasn't running away from love. She was just done with love, and that was enough for her. She didn't miss anything. She had already been in a love that most people only dream about, so she didn't have to do it again just to please someone else. People in the media often make women like her look lonely, as if getting old without a partner is a sign of something going wrong. Diana Ross isn't a sad story, though. She reminds me that happiness doesn't always come in the form of a wedding ring. Her story isn't about not having enough, it's about knowing when something is finished. She wasn't looking for anyone to finish her. She already had a life that made her feel whole. She didn't go away from the attention, she just stopped needing it to be whole. She didn't run away from love. First, she loved other people, and then she loved herself. She decided that was enough love to last. Finding someone didn't make her successful. It came from turning into someone. Her name is linked to awards, hits that changed history, and decades of work. She is also very clear, which is an even stronger quality. She is very aware of who she is. She is aware of what she has been given. She also knows what she needs to keep safe. That made things clear for her, so she could stop looking. Not out of fear, but because they are smart. She's not the woman who is waiting to be picked. That's the woman who picked herself. You've got to make it happen for yourself. Wasn't just advice from her. It was a way of life. She made things happen for herself. She didn't just wait for love to come along in the form of a relationship. She found happiness in the things she left behind, the kids she raised, the songs she made, and the peace she made for herself. She wasn't in need of help. She didn't need love to show how valuable she was. To feel like she was important, she didn't need another love story. She has already had a purposeful, powerful, and important life. Anything she touched changed into something that would last. Her name stayed the same. Her voice didn't get quiet. Her impact didn't go away. And being someone's wife didn't change any of it. She doesn't want a closing chapter written by someone else at age 80. She's still writing her own. She stands with her family and the music she made around him, instead of sorrow. When she comes home, her grandkids laugh, not the silence of what-ifs. There's no need for a new love story because the one she has lived is already full, deep, and important. She's not by herself. She's not broken. She's not going to wait. She is whole. Being whole is what makes her story so unique, so strong, so hard to touch. She picked peace over stress. The choice she made was to put herself first. She decided to live the rest of her life based on what she had, not what other people told her she should have. She shared her skill with everyone. She loved her family very much. She loved herself in a way that doesn't need anyone to see or applaud. She let herself go. The last thing she does in her life isn't about a partner. It's about being there. It has to do with power. That kind of happiness that doesn't come from taking someone's hand, but from being able to stand alone and know that you still make people happy. Diana Ross was loved even before she had a hit song. She let go of things that didn't help her because she loved herself that much. She was in the spotlight for long enough to know she didn't need it. That's why she won't get married again when she turns 80. It's not because she gave up hope, but she already won. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video popping up on your screen for more powerful stories that will keep you inspired.